Welcome to the March 25th, 2021 Parma City School District Board of Education meeting. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We should join the call, Mr. Nucio. Mr. Nucio, roll call.
Mrs. Bratz.
Present.
Mrs. Karpus.
Present.
Mr. Kreis.
Present.
Mr. Schweitzer.
Present.
Mr. Vaughn.
He should be joining us soon. At this time, I would like to confirm that all board members and administrators are connected to this meeting. So if each person would confirm that they can see, hear, or both when asked, please do so. Mrs. Bratz?
Both.
Mrs. Karpus?
Both.
Mr. Kreis?
Both.
Dr. Smilak?
Both.
Mr. Nucio?
Both.
And John Schweitzer is also both. Dr. Smilak, can you please confirm that this meeting is currently being live streamed?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Board members and administration, if at any time during the meeting you cannot hear or see the other participants, please speak up immediately so that the technical difficulty may be addressed. Dr. Smilak, please monitor the live streaming throughout the meeting, and if the live streaming stops for any reason, please speak up immediately so that the technical difficulty may be addressed. This meeting will be conducted electronically in accordance with the amended Substitute House Bill 197 and House Bill 404, as more specifically detailed on the notice attached to tonight's agenda. You have it up there? There we go. I move to adopt Resolution 2021-03-124, the resolution suspending requirement for in-person meetings under board bylaws.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2021-03-124. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Mr. Nucio?
Mr. Schweitzer.
Yes.
Mrs. Karpus.
Yes.
Mrs. Bratz.
Yes.
Mr. Kreis.
Yes.
Resolution 2021-03-124 has been approved. Dr. Smilak, is there any information to the board?
Yeah, I had a few comments, and then Mrs. Stropko is going to lead us through the work that she and her department have done on our summer learning plan, pursuant to some of the money that the federal government has contributed in terms of ESSER funding. For my comments, just wanted to thank everyone for all of their work to make sure we had a safe and healthy opening. It's really our 6th or 7th opening this year, but it certainly felt like opening day again, Monday morning, as we welcome students back to 5 days of in-person instruction. I think morale has been very high, actually. I think our students are very excited to be back. Our teachers are excited to be taking that further step toward normalcy. Extremely impressed by the diligence that our staffs have put into keeping students distant to the extent possible. Even more so impressed by the mask wearing. I stood outside Parma Senior High the other day as students were coming in and didn't even see any masks, honestly, below the nose, which is kind of a frequent, it just kind of happens. People have really taken this seriously. I think people understand, both students and staff, that the more serious we take this, the closer we can come to a sense of normalcy and really retain that throughout the rest of this year and into next. So just again, a real thank you to our school community. Also, and the board understands this from an email I sent some time ago, but we are looking forward to an in-person commencement at Byers Field on May 22nd. We'll have 3 different ceremonies, obviously, for the 3 high schools. We're very excited to use Byers Field. Byers Field is the 2nd largest soccer and football venue in Cuyahoga County, and we are going to try to really make that a true community asset. We just don't use it enough, and so we're excited to use Byers Field for commencement. We'll also have an in-person prom for all 3 high schools, and they're communicating those procedures to their seniors. We'll also have parades that we had last year. That was such a success and such a popular event. We will have those again, and again, our high schools are communicating those procedures. Shifting away from COVID and some of the announcements we had with regard to things coming back, we're also very excited for our Easter egg hunt on Saturday morning. If you remember, just a couple seconds ago, I referenced the need to use Byers Field more. We want our community to feel connected to our facilities, and Byersfield would probably be one of our best. We have approximately 40,000 eggs, approximately 1,000 students coming on Saturday morning. We're very excited about this, very grateful to the work that Mrs. Holtzman and her department have done to organize this. We hope it's the first of a long tradition. Right now, weather looks very promising, and we're looking forward to a great morning. So with that, any questions or comments on any of those things from the board?
No, good.
So we will then move into Mrs. Stropko and her presentation on summer learning plans, again, funded by ESSER funds.
Thank you, Dr. Smilik. Pam, are you going to put the presentation up?
Oh, it's more like Jack.
I know.
Pam?
Is she there? There it goes.
Oh, that's Sean's.
Steve's on. Welcome, Steve.
Hi, Sean.
Hey, Steve. Glad you
Hi,
came in.
guys.
How's everything?
Everything's good.
Good. I'm currently waiting for Tiffany's
Presentation?
slides to be put on. So
Yeah. I got most of Charlie's spiel. So. No problems.
Pam, could you make Tiffany host and maybe she could just pull it up herself? You're on mute, Pam.
Can you do it without the presentation? Without the slides or no?
Yeah, I can, but there's a lot on
There's
there.
a lot on it. Okay.
It's up to you.
Well, if we can make Tiffany host, that would be.
Yeah.
John, can you call Pam? We can't really hear her. She's trying to.
Yeah, let me text her.
I see her on the phone.
She's talking to Sean. He's on speaker. There we go.
Hey.
Sorry about that. Oh, it's deleted. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to share with everyone tonight is our plan for the Learning Recovery and Extended Learning Plan funded by ESSER funds. So if you could move the slide. Our district goals are always increase student achievement, improve transparency, and practice fiscal responsibility. What you'll see, and I'm super proud of this plan, this is a big picture plan. We will be sharing and highlighting details throughout this plan as we execute it. But we're really looking at student achievement and looking at where some of our kids had some of our learning gaps throughout some of remote learning. So just so you guys know, ESSER funds it stands for Educational Stabilization Fund for Elementary and Secondary School Relief. It's authorized by Coronavirus Response and Relief. The date range is 3/13/2020, so the start of when we first went into remote learning to September 30th, 2023. What we can use for this is preventing and preparing for and responding to COVID-19, learning loss, preparing schools for reopening and testing, and repairing and upgrading projects. So you're going to see pieces and parts of things and purchases that we've already completed as far as digital learning and distance learning, and how we are able to extend that with fidelity along with some staffing. So our learning recovery plan is due to ODE by April 1st, and there are 6 components. First of all, our resources in our budget that ESSER is providing our district is close to $10 million. We have to talk how we're going to impact our students, our needs, our resources and budget, which I will outline, our approaches, our partnerships, which I'm super excited to share, and our alignment to standards. So I'm going to start with our impacted students. So our team, we looked at how we can really look to identify our kids that need this the most. But you will see throughout this plan that we are hitting many populations of our students. First, it's students that are below proficient on curricular and benchmark assessments. Any student that had attendance concerns in remote learning, attendance concerns in hybrid learning, low engagement when we were in distance learning, a failure of a course, or any of our students in elementary and middle that are showing low growth and low achievement. So our first thing, our first piece is our Summer Academy of Learning and Enrichment. We are going to have a K through 8 program. Our K through 8 program is very specific to 5 weeks. We figured that we would give our students a break so that they can refresh, and then give them time to have some summer right before we start school in August. So it's a 5-week session. We have an option for students to attend a full or a half day. How our day is set up is our core instruction, so our intense literacy and math, which we are purchasing a prescribed program for that, staffed by our own PCSD teachers. That will occur in the morning, and then we are going to have some art, some wellness, and some STEM activities in the afternoon in terms of enrichment. We will have a list of community partners to enhance that social emotional side, and then the STEM and art enrichment opportunities that I will share later. Our location for K through 5 will be at Shiloh Middle School. 6 through 8 will be at Normandy. Tonight you will see on the board agenda that we are recommending Allison Coakley for our summer school principal and Chris Keating for our summer school principal at the middle school. So we're very excited. We want to provide transportation to all of our kids, and we will feed breakfast and lunch as well. And the biggest thing is that this is free to all of our kids. Our high school opportunity for Summer of Academy of Learning and Enrichment is also free. This one is a 7-week session. We will have 2 daily sessions, 8:30 to 11:30 and 12 to 3. This is for students that are credit deficient, students that have failed courses throughout this year or in previous years. And our hope is that students can earn up to 2 credits. We are also going to utilize community partnerships to enhance social and emotional learning. And this will take place at Parma Senior High. And you will see in the board agenda a recommendation for Mr. Cook as our summer school principal for the high school level. So one of the pieces of materials that we are purchasing is called Success Maker Adaptive Learning. It's an online platform. This is super exciting. So not only will our impacted students get to access ELA and math, but all of our students, when they leave for the summer, will be able to have the opportunity to have logins for literacy and math. And it's engaging, it's that gamified approach, it's personalized paths, it delivers tutorials, there's practice, there's challenge, so there's an opportunity for both remediation and enrichment. And it has real-time data for teachers. So when we start the school year next year, we will have real-time data from our kids throughout the summer. And so our kids that cannot access our summer learning of enrichment will have an opportunity to have this login for summer learning. And again, it's available to all students to impact that COVID and that summer slide. So we're really excited about this addition to our curriculum. The other piece that we looked at is throughout COVID, we've really struggled with our fill rate. And one of the things that, even in my experience as a principal, I've always wanted to have district substitutes to train our substitutes in the Parma way, assigned to specific buildings. We have a phenomenal instructional playbook with both the instructional and the resilient learner side. Now we have district tools. So our goal, and we're currently interviewing with collaboration with HR, is to identify, future teachers that have just stepped out of our colleges and universities that need that experience, and also create an opportunity to onboard our teachers so that when we have openings, our teachers, our substitute teachers are already trained. We are providing a salary at step 1 with benefits, and this will provide 2 district subs at PV, our middle schools, and our high schools, and then 1 district sub at first step in all 8 elementaries. When they are not substituting, we will use these educators for enrichment and intervention. So this will continue through the duration of the next 2 school years. We also believe that extended learning and academic assistance is a priority. So we will continue to focus on literacy and math at elementary. For middle school, we will add science and social studies. And then for high school, we will focus on graduation requirements through credit recovery. We plan to have extended learning options and academic assistance at various locations throughout our district after school to extend the learning day. Again, impacting our students that have gaps in their growth and achievement, and also attendance issues as well. So we're really excited about that. Our curriculum and instruction approaches. So I shared with you our Success Maker that we are providing for literacy and math. In addition, we are going to continue to support our social and emotional learning side of our playbook. So we are looking at more focused Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions for elementary, middle, and high school in a common curriculum at the secondary level. In addition, you heard me speak and share about our excitement for our district tools and how our students are engaged in our district tools. We don't want to move backwards. We want to continue to go forward. So we are able, with ESSER funds, to sustain all of our district tools for the next 2 years. So that is very exciting for our students and our staff as well. This is probably my favorite part of the presentation. Our kids, our families, even us individually, we've all struggled differently with the pandemic. We opened up our doors to all kids this week. Our students are seeing friends for the first time in almost a year and really have that structure. And so they've been away from us for an extended period of time. We've been successful at educating, but it's a little bit different when they're not in our four walls. So we believe to enhance that resilient learner side, we are adding 2 board certified behavior analysts. Currently, right now, we have 4, and we would like to add 1 at First Step and then 1 additional one at the elementary. Currently, we do not have any home liaisons at the middle school level. We are missing this piece. Middle school is so important where our students can go different paths. Our school counselors are handling a lot of our House Bill 410 attendance issues. And I would like to free up our school counselors so that they can get in and do some structured lessons, utilize the curriculum that we are going to purchase for Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions, and have some focus groups based on data that all 3 middle schools are utilizing and using. In addition, we are adding 3 guidance counselors at the high school level. Currently, we have 4 at each building. The add will enable the 2 courses that we added, our freshman experience and our college and career readiness course for our social and emotional, that self-advocacy piece, that self-care. Our counselors are going to be looping next year with this addition. So if I am a 8th grade counselor next year, I will follow those 8th graders all the way on up through 12th grade. Also, all 5 high schools will have 5 groups or clubs that they will run. All 5 groups and clubs will be consistent across all 3 high schools. The goal is to look at grievance, anger management, our girls group. We all have pieces and parts at all of our high schools, but we also want to be consistent. So if I am a child at the high school level, my guidance counselor is really going to focus on that graduation plan, my success plan, making sure that, I understand the seals to meet the graduation requirements. And now I have a school counselor that's going to follow me all the way through, is going to be in my freshman experience course, is going to be coming into my health course, is going to be coming into my college and career readiness course, because those are 3 courses that we will enhance that systematic approach to our social emotional learning. And in addition, those are our children that need that extra support beyond that Tier 1 in our common courses will be identified and will be asked to be part of different groups to aid in that school connection and to really be part and to be successful, not only in academics, but also in society. And so I'm very passionate about this. For those of you that don't know my background, I spent 7 years at the high school level. And every year we would open up, we'd have all these plans, and then life would happen at the high school. And our kids are coming to us with intense stories and high needs. We have such big shoes to fill with our new graduation requirements that I really need our counselors to be supporting that social emotional side. And I believe that we have the structure and the organization in place to reach all of our kids. When I proposed this ad, I used my son as an example. So Jamie, if those of you that don't know that I'm a mom, I have a 6th grader, and he is, gets great grades. He's awesome in school. Oftentimes when I hear from his teachers, they say, "Oh, Jamie, I wish I could have, 25 Jamies." But at home, it's a different story. So, Jamie struggles with anxiety, and my husband and I deal with that. And Jamie would benefit from seeing his guidance counselor, as much as he could. But because he is not on the radar, he's not considered an at-risk student or is not a frequent flyer or a discipline issue, he doesn't often see his counselor. And so part of this ad is that our counselors will have quarterly check-ins that are proactive instead of reactive. So right now, if there's an issue, our counselors get involved, but our counselors will have their caseload and they will be calling kids down and having individual conversations, connecting to resources outside, and really building that relationship that I believe is missing at the middle and the high school level. So I believe that the home liaisons and the guidance counselors are really going to enhance that social and emotional side that we're building extensively this school year. In addition, one of the things that we're working on with our home liaisons is adding additional time where they receive stipends with a Google form on our website, on social media, where families and kids could access our home liaisons after the school day. So if you are a working parent and you need those extra resources, we will have a systematic approach in various hubs throughout our district so that our families can connect and we can provide the services that are needed by some of our families in our district. So the other piece that I am excited about as well, and we're really hitting the elementary, our K-1, our grade 1 through 2 at some lower class sizes. Right now across the district, typically at the elementary, we range anywhere from 25 to 28. Lowering our class sizes 20 to 1 at K-1 will really allow our teachers that specialization in some of our priority standards so that we could address those learning gaps when we start school next year. Again, also in grades 1 through 2. And then in grades 3 through 4, 5, 6, and 7, we want to keep it around 24, 26. So part of our plan is lowering those class sizes, which is an added cost and additional FTEs. In addition, we've had a very successful program with our PVLA, so our Parma Virtual Learning Academy, and we are working jointly with PEA to determine what do our teachers need for our kids to even be more successful. One of the asks from our educators is our educators use MacBooks, and when we are utilizing that curricular platform on a Chromebook or MacBook, it looks way different for our kids because our kids use Chromebooks. So we want all of our PVLA teachers to also have a Chromebook so that they can see the end user and what that looks like when they're accessing our digital tools and our curricular resources. All of our teachers will receive a document camera and PVLA, XP Pen, which is a tablet where they could write on, a monitor, and an adapter. And these were asks and necessities that I believe our PVLA teachers need. In addition, we have self-directed learning for PVLA at our high school level. We try to offer as many electives as we can. Sometimes it doesn't work out the way that we want it to, and we have to offer some in a self-directed setting. So we also have allocated funds. If we need our APEX facilitators again, then we are able to sustain that process as well. In our partnerships, and I'm very excited to share this, is College Now, working with our high school students on college applications, financial aid. They will continue to wrap around our students during our summer Academy of Learning and Enrichment. Our recovery resources we've partnered with, they work closely with our home liaisons and our school counselors. They are planning on working with us in the afternoons at all locations this summer to help with student wellness and that self-care piece. Guidestone is a nonprofit organization for counseling and student wellness. And students have to have a specific insurance. Nancy Lowry and Associates, also student wellness and student counseling, are also going to wrap around our kids. This is where our families can pay out of pocket or with insurance. We are working with Cuyahoga County Public Library And probably the most exciting is our very own teacher profession program. They are going to work alongside at our elementary and our middle school sites and really work with our kids as camp counselors for that enrichment, that art piece this summer. So again, this is all, an outline piece. We are going to continue to add the details and share our successes as we work through the summer and the next 2 years. But we looked at the big picture. I believe that Parma is on the mark. I often meet with area districts, and I think we have very good ideas, and we have that partnership attached, along with that simplistic approach with our curriculum and instruction side and our digital tools. And I really think that our kids are going to benefit from this. And, at this time, I'm open to any other questions, concerns, or comments that you have.
Well, thank you for the presentation, and I agree. There's a ton of really good things in here, so I'm not going to analyze, word for word on there. My biggest thing is this going to be totally voluntary? Are we going to push some kids kind of into it? Are we going to meet with parents and recommend, your kid need how are we going to do the fill?
Yeah, so right now, that's a great question. We are staffing. So we have about 15 teachers at each level that have indicated that they are interested in teaching summer school or a portion of summer school. Once we have our staffing complete, we have checklists and we've identified, we've actually ran lists where we've identified kids that have missed instruction for attendance or have not been engaged or are, not showing growth or achievement. So yes, we will be working with our building principals, our classroom teachers, and our summer school principals to have those personalized conversations to empower our families to do this. When we have all of that filled with our impacted students, then we will open it up for any other student or family that's interested. Until we get the staffing down and we're interviewing next week, we'll have an idea of how many classes we have at each grade level.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great presentation, Tiffany. I am very, very impressed with the looping with the counselors. I think that's a stellar idea.
Thank you.
That's perfect. I can't tell you how many times a kid came to me and said, I don't even know who my counselor is. So that's they have 5 years of learning who they are and be with them. That's good. Is there a way to get your PowerPoint sent to us so we could refer to that again at some point?
Yep, I could send it to you after tonight's meeting.
Yeah. That'd be great. Great. Thank you so much. That was an excellent presentation. That was a lot of info. You're right.
Yeah.
There's lots there.
There was a lot there. Yeah, very good though. Very good.
I just want to say from, we look at some of these things and it is so encouraging to see things like home liaisons and ABAC, like all of those things on an added list and not a cut list. And I go back to, I will never forget the moment standing in the auditorium here with principals saying, have you considered to a previous board when we were making cuts, and to see how far we've come that we're able to even add these things back in and talk about these things. And the whole summer, the whole package of the summer learning is incredible. So there are not enough kudos to you and everyone who helped you with this. And just, I am, and I'm sure I speak for the whole board, incredibly grateful for your leadership on this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing, really.
Great job, Tiffany.
I would also like to thank Mrs. Stropko and her department. It's obviously very comprehensive. I love the emphasis of not only the academic piece, but the social emotional piece, as you referenced, Mrs. Karpus. Our counselors, especially at the high school level, have just had more and more demands placed on them, and that social emotional piece is really easy to put on the back burner. But I'd also like to thank the federal government. We have to. That's a really significant nod to public education, and quite frankly, the pendulum had not been swinging in our favor for quite some time. And so we're grateful that, our federal government has recognized the need to address so many of the gaps that, either opened or were exacerbated during the COVID pandemic. So thank you to them. But yeah, again, money's money, but if we don't have teams like Tiffany and her team have put together, we don't have this type of offering. So thank you so much.
And this is why elections matter.
So that'll conclude our remarks tonight. We appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Smilak. We move to communications, and before we move to the treasurer or the Pta Council Report, I would like to communicate to the community that we have appreciated more than you can possibly know the patience everybody has shown as we have navigated the COVID pandemic in our meetings, through Zoom and Facebook Live and so on and so forth. And like to announce that beginning with our next board meeting, Thursday, April 15th, the Board of Education will once again meet in person in the Karen Dendorfer boardroom at our central office. Hip, hip. We will continue to stream our meetings live to Facebook until June 30th, 2021, in accordance with House Bill 404. We encourage our families to engage with us through this means. Due to the required 3 feet social distancing, we are only able to provide a limited number of seats in the boardroom for members of the public who are not able to engage via Facebook or prefer to attend in person. So if you wish to attend in person, please email Pam Barkowski, barkowskip@parmacityschools.org by 2 p.m. on April 15th to inquire about the availability of seating. And as I'm sure you'd be aware, masks will be required, hand sanitizer will be provided, and all safety precautions will take place. But we will be glad to be back in person. So hopefully, we will be able to continue that way and loosen things up as time goes by. At this time, Sean, you have anything?
I do. I have a presentation short presentation, 4 slides, about electronic payroll system. So if Pam brings it up, I will start. Okay, so currently our payroll system is timesheets and time cards. The way they did things in the 1950s and 60s, we still do it at Parma. And currently their teachers do fill out timesheets. Only the teachers that are doing period subbing, or if they do bus duty, or they do cafeteria duty, or something other than their normal job. Bus drivers do punch in at a time clock down at transportation building. Custodians will have overtime, so they'll fill out a sheet. And there's other employees that fill out sheets. So what my goal was is the people who currently fill out timesheets or time cards for any reason, they'll continue to do it with the electronic system, and we're just doing away with the paper. What it's going to do is reduce processing time, because it's going to come to the payroll department and they're going to get a CSV file and just upload it into the system instead of manually punching in all of these hours. When there's holidays or vacations or sick time employees take, payroll's in a crunch to get things done. This way it's going to improve efficiency, reduce printing cost and paper costs. Go to the next slide, Pam, please. So who was involved in the process? Of course, I was involved, my assistant treasurer, Sherry Barker, who's my payroll supervisor, and Angela Caputo, the transportation supervisor. Ed Hoy sat in a couple of these for us, and also technical systems manager is Dan Gideon, because I want to see different sides of the school district and how it affects them. We looked at 3 different companies, which was Frontline Education, who does our ASOP currently. That's our substitute. If a teacher's out, they put their time in ASOP and they can get a sub for us. So it's the same company. Time Clocks Plus, which is another big one in Ohio, and Novatime. Those are the 3 we looked at. Go to the next slide, Pam, please. So here's the cost. Frontline came in the cheapest, which I always like it cheap. But we also had references, who do they use? And I contacted Berea City Schools and Jill Rowe. She gave a good recommendation to them. Also, Nick and Willoughby East Lake Schools gave a good recommendation on Frontline. Time Clocks Plus, I don't have much contact with them, but Angelo did contact Dayton City Schools, and they weren't all that overly impressed with the product. And Novatime, they had no presence in school districts in Ohio. Go to the next page, Pam. So like I said before, currently we use Frontline for ASAP. The absence management will integrate with this program, and we got favorable recommendations, and of course, it's the cheapest. So we were recommending Frontline. I went through that kind of quickly, so you guys have any questions, concerns, issues?
No, thank you. I mean, I agree with you. I think that without knowing what I know, I would assume we were doing this long ago. I guess. I mean, 2021, still punching in when you have these kind of, opportunities to move forward. So, thank you.
I actually got that same remark.
So least expensive, not the cheapest.
I got the same comment from one of the companies. They couldn't believe we were still doing paper.
I know, really.
Crazy.
I was surprised when I saw that too, Sean. I'm not a techie, but it seemed like, yeah, we need to be here.
It's like, right, really?
Right.
Welcome to the 21st century, Sean.
Yeah. Well, I've only been here 3 years, so
No, thank you. I think it's needed. Anything else?
that's all I have.
Okay, before we move on to PTA Council Report, any other board members that had communications this evening? Okay, do we have a PTA Council Report?
We do. Ready to roll? I'm going to try to do my best Mrs. Akechi impression here. Good evening. On Wednesday, March 24th, Parma Council PTA celebrated 124 years of the PTA. Although the National Founders Day is February 17th, we have held ours in March the past several years. This year's virtual celebration combined our council theme with last year, helping our PTA units grow and bloom. We had a short video with a few of our board members' children, a slideshow of many of our units' archives, and a trivia segment. All guests had a chance to introduce themselves and tell where they were a past president, award recipient, or PTA member. All attendees had a chance to pick up a goodie bag before the event so they could decorate a name card and enjoy some tea and cookies. We also enjoy this evening as it is a chance for our vintage members to share and chat with our leaders of today and tomorrow. We look forward to having an in-person Founder Night in 2022. Thanks to all who attended, and thank you, me, for joining us at our event last night. Leading up to Founders Night, we also hosted another raffle basket fundraiser to raise money for the PCPTA Community Scholarship. Thank you to all who participated. National PTA LegCon was attended by Heather Akechi and Melissa Wolf. They had a chance to not only attend workshops on key legislative issues, but also a chance to meet with representatives from Congress. Their focus of this discussion with our state representatives included making meaningful, robust investments in education in the next COVID relief package. Increase funding for the statewide family engagement centers, include schools and any comprehensive infrastructure, improve the federal school meal program through child nutrition reauthorization, and support policies which protect all students, including students from historically marginalized populations and communities. There were over 20 Ohio PTA representatives in attendance. Again, congratulations to the incoming 2020-21-22 PCPTA officers, President Melissa Wolf, First Vice President Monica Abbott, Second Vice President Alicia Farkas, Third Vice President Sharon Bamba, Recording Secretary Annette Spatrino, Corresponding Secretary Delana Zingalis, and Treasurer Heather Akechi. As units work on voting in their new officers, we look forward to meeting the presidents and their boards in the weeks and months to come. We look forward to hosting an incoming training for all our new officers. Our annual geranium sale is currently going on through April 16th. Order forms can be found online. Delivery will take place on Saturday, May 1st at Parma Senior High School back lot. If you're interested in helping on delivery day, please email ParmaCouncilPCPTA@gmail.com. Respectfully submitted, Parma Council of PTAs.
Thank you, Mrs. Ketchy.
Can I make a couple of remarks, Mr. Schweitzer?
Absolutely.
Okay, first of all, I'm going to show my sign from PTA founders last night. We were all supposed to make a sign with our name and different PTA stuff on it. It was an outstanding program. You know, I'm just, of course, I have a long history with PTA. I am celebrating 40 years anniversary of being in PTA this year since preschool PTA, which is now known as early childhood PTA. But it was a really nice program last night. And while we all focus heavily on what's happening inside our buildings in terms of our educators and our support staff, you know, the PTA volunteers have really struggled mightily, also trying to do the kinds of things that they do to support schools and support education in our buildings and for the welfare of kids. And they've, I think, worked really hard trying to maintain PTA activities to the best of their ability. And I know everybody's really eager to get back into the schools again and have a little bit more normal opportunity to serve children. So kudos to Parma Council and all of our units for the, you know, continuing to do their PTA work.
Thank you, Cindy. I would I'll you know, one add on here was mentioned at the end of the report about the, you know, the geranium sale for scholarships. Please look that over. I mean, I just ordered the other day, and sometimes we hear geranium, and I don't know if people think that's all there is or something. It's like a whole nursery online. I mean, there's all kinds of plants, hanging baskets, on and on.
It
and
is.
on.
There's all kinds of stuff.
I mean, it's easy to order and easy to pick up. So I encourage people to at least take a look at that and see if there's anything that they would find that they like. Thank you.
And can I also add, John, you know, with the scholarship program is going on right now, and we won't have the usual banquet for recognition for kids this year, but we are going to do the prize patrol again, where students are surprised with their sponsors coming to their home and planting a sign in the yard and recognizing those students for their outstanding high school achievements and trying to make it as special as possible, even though we don't have some of our traditional recognition available to us.
And yeah, we did that last year too. I actually kind of liked it. I mean, neighbors were hanging out of their doors and everything else as you were, you know, going from house to house. So, you know, I'm looking forward to doing that again. Any other comments this evening? Okay, that moves us on. Then, do we have any amendments?
Yes, we do. We have one amendment. It's 2021-03-131.1, confirmation of a certified administrative appointment / replacement. This the resolution was added after the agenda went to the board, but prior to it going public, so it's not a walk-on for this meeting. It's just an amendment to the agenda.
Okay, well, thank you. So that'll be in the human resources area.
Correct.
Then I move to adopt resolution 2021-03-125, adoption of amendments.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2021-03-125. Questions or comments? Mr. Nucio?
Mr. Schweitzer,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
Mrs. Bratz,
Yes.
Mrs. Carpus,
Yes.
Mr. Kreis.
Yes.
Resolution 2021-03-125 has been approved. At this point, we open the meeting to public to address the board on tonight's agenda items. Do we have any?
Pamela?
No, we do not.
Not this evening. Thank you. And I move to adopt resolution 2021-03-126, approval of the written record of proceedings from the March 11th, 2021 regular Board of Education meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2021-03-126. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Mr. Nucio?
Mr. Schweitzer,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
Mrs. Bratz,
Yes.
Mrs. Carpus,
Yes.
Mr. Kreis.
Yes.
Resolution 2021-03-126 has been approved. That moves us. Everybody okay?
Okay, Mr. Kreis?
I'm working on it.
Sounds like it.
Communication, Mr. Vaughn.
Curriculum.
Curriculum, Mr. Vaughn.
We'll go with curriculum, okay?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there is no curriculum action this evening, so unless anyone has anything to discuss about it, this concludes curriculum.
Thank you very much. Business, Mr. Kreis.
Yes, I'd like to move to adopt resolution 2021-03-127, approving an agreement to provide the non-routine use of school buses for the summer of 2021.
Second,
We have a motion and a second for resolution 2021-03-127. Questions or comments? Mr. Nucio.
Mr. Kreis.
Yes.
Mrs. Bratz.
yes.
Mrs. Carpus.
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes.
Mr. Schweitzer.
Yes. 2021-03-127 has been approved.
And unless another board member has anything to discuss, this concludes business for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Kreis, but right back at you with finance.
Yes, I'd like to move to adopt resolution 2021-03-128, a resolution to establish and maintain a special account in the general fund to be reserved for the purpose of innovation in arts education and to authorize and direct the intra-fund transfer of $50,000 to that account commencing in fiscal year 2022 and each fiscal year thereafter.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for 2021-03-128. Any questions or comments?
I had a few comments, if you don't mind, Mr. Schweitzer.
Go ahead.
We're really excited about this specific resolution. We have for far too long really overlooked the arts as what can be a true asset to our students' experiences within our school district. We started to sort of take an inventory of some supplies this year. And I mean, we have folks using, honestly, supplies from the 1980s. The arts is a sleeping giant in Parma. It's something that we want to invest in. As we have trimmed our central office expenses, we have always tried to invest them directly into our students. And you have seen that with deans of students and home liaisons and guidance counselors in the past. And this is really something that we're very excited about in earmarking specifically for innovative projects and experiences for students in the arts. Our teachers are extremely excited about this proponent. We've actually had conversation with the Cleveland Orchestra as well. They've put us in contact with some neighboring school districts to talk about their arts programs. So we really can't wait to make this available to our teachers. We know there's a lot of creative ideas that they'll be able to tap into. There'll be a board that actually controls this $50,000. So the board will have to weigh, the merits of the application, and we will celebrate all of the projects from the Arts Innovation Reserve at the end of the year. So the Board of Education and our public sees specifically what our students have been able to participate in as a result of this earmark. So I want to thank Mr. Nucio for his collaboration on this, but also thank all of our organization, because at the central office anyway, when we cut here, it impacts students in the buildings. And this time it's going to impact specifically our arts education efforts.
Thanks very much, and kudos. I mean, I think it's a great idea.
That's excellent. Excellent.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Nucio.
Mr. Kreis.
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes.
Mrs. Bratz.
Yes.
Mrs. Carpus.
Yes.
Mr. Schweitzer.
Yes, resolution 2021-03-128 has been approved.
I move to adopt resolution 2021-03-129, granting authority to the administration to enter into a contract with Frontline Education for electronic time and attendance system.
Second.
A motion and a second for resolution 2021, 03-129. This is what the presentation was on, correct?
Correct.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Mr. Nucio.
Mr. Kreis,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
Mrs. Bratz,
yes,
Mrs. Carpus,
yes,
Mr. Schweitzer,
Yes, 2021-03-129 has been approved.
I move to adopt resolution 2021-03-130, approval of supplemental appropriations.
Second.
Motion and second for 2021-03-130. Questions or comments? Mr. Nucio.
Mr. Kreis,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
Mrs. Bratz,
yes,
Mrs. Carpus,
yes,
Mr. Schweitzer.
Yes, 2021-03-130 has been approved.
And unless the board member has anything to discuss, this concludes finance for this evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kreis.
Thank you.
Mrs. Carpus, any legislation this evening?
I do. So this is just a kind of an overview. So there's report card changes in House Bill 200. I'm not going to go through all the details, but it basically, instead of the A through F rating, it changes it to words such as significantly exceeds expectations, meets expectations, making substantial progress towards expectations, making moderate progress towards expectations, and need of support. There will be a new multiplier of 0.8 for approaching proficient. Will fall between basic and proficient. That's a good change for us. There's accelerated is changed to accomplished, which is different because in the gifted world, accelerated is, terminology for moving above and beyond. And there's a lot of other small changes, but really those are kind of the meat and potatoes. We still have our favorite, as our superintendent has dubbed it, the witch's brew of our value-added data gap closing. But we've that's kind of we're watching it right now. So those are our kind of really what's going on with that. Other than that, I really don't have anything pertinent with legislation.
Mrs. Carpus, can I just jump in there too? This was sort of a frustration to see, actually, because there's been a lot of conversation about overhauling the report card, and this is far short of an overhaul. This is a tweak at best. I mean, it's not hard to assign letter grades to the A through F instead of the meeting expectations, almost meeting expectations, et cetera. So it'll be interesting to see how much pushback there is, particularly from urban areas, as this goes through the House. But on the flip side, there are many school districts who don't want to let their, A through F go. Those would obviously be your higher performing school districts. So we were disappointed to see this, but we will, as Mrs. Carpus indicated, we'll continue to monitor.
I can just picture people saying, meets expectation. Is that was that a B?
That's exactly right. It's not hard to draw some parallels.
What is that? All right, any other questions?
yes. Can I just make a couple comments
I'm just
here?
going to ask you if you had anything.
Oh, okay. Well, I beat you to it, huh? Okay. I only want to mention the recent passage. Well, I think it was 2 weeks ago today when President Biden signed the American Rescue Act, and that has over $122 billion set aside or dedicated to education. And after seeing Mrs. Stropko's presentation, of course, and seeing all the great work that is allowed because of the federal funding, I'm really excited to see more federal funding dedicated to education as a result of the passage of that act. And hopefully we will be able to continue some of these programs even beyond the couple of years that they currently will provide for, or maybe even more enhanced programming. So I think that's a real positive. And once again, elections have consequences, and hopefully public education will get a nice chunk of that money again.
Thank you, Mrs. Bratz. As Dr. Smilek said before, it's not often we get to tip the hat to the federal government when it comes to, helping us out financially. But in this particular case, we do have a tip of the hat. Anything else? Okay, then we move to human resources. Mrs. Bratz.
Thank you, Mr. Schweitzer. I move to adopt Resolution 2021-03131, approval of the following certificated exhibits: confirmation of certificated appointment, confirmation of certificated replacement, confirmation of stipend amount, confirmation of certificated non-compensated leaves of absence, confirmation of summer school administration contracts, acceptance of certificated resignation, and confirmation of supplemental appointment.
Second.
A motion and second for 2021-03131. Any questions or comments? Mr. Nucio.
Mrs. Bratz,
Yes.
Mrs. Carpus,
Yes.
Mr. Kreis,
Abstain?
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
Mr. Schweitzer,
Yes, resolution 2021-03131 has been approved.
I move for the adoption of Resolution 2021-03131.1, confirmation of certificated administrative appointment replacement.
Second.
A motion and second for 2021-03131.1. Questions or comments?
I just want to mention that, I'm
This is the
sorry,
amended, right?
yes, this is the one that's amended,
Right.
just so you guys know.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Nucio.
Mrs. Bratz,
Yes.
Mrs. Carpus,
Yes.
Mr. Kreis,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
Mr. Schweitzer.
Yes, 21-03131.1 has been approved as amended.
Mr. Schweitzer, we've got a few celebratory pieces for that one, if that's okay.
Absolutely, we like celebratory.
Mr. Hoy, why don't you start, sir?
Thank you very much. We are extremely excited to announce Emily Mckim as the incoming principal of John Muir Elementary School. She impressed 2 different interview panels to emerge as the strongest candidate from a very impressive pool of applicants. The interview committees were most impressed by Emily's supportive, coaching mentality and her desire to be a collaborative instructional leader with all members of the John Muir staff. Emily has served as the assistant principal of Pleasant Valley Elementary since 2017. There, she worked to reduce chronic absenteeism, develop and implement a PBS plan that earned a bronze medal from the Educational Service Center of Northeast Ohio, created Tier 2 interventions, and led instructional professional development for staff members. Emily has also served as an assistant principal at Normandy High School and the administrative intern at Pleasant Valley Elementary School during her Parma tenure. Emily was raised in Parma and lived in the John Muir neighborhood for over 30 years. She now lives in North Royalton with her husband Bill and stepson Dylan, daughters Isabella and Madeline, and son Braden. The Mckim family loves their golden retrievers, Marley and Finn. Welcome Emily Mckim as principal of John Muir Elementary.
All right, we're not done quite yet. We're going to have Mrs. Stropko say a few words now.
I just wanted to congratulate Emily. Emily, you know that back in the summer of 2015 in August, I pretty much ran out to the parking lot and wanted to offer you the position as administrative intern on the spot. And I have learned from you and I've watched you grow the last 6 years. And I'm so glad that we will have your leadership at the elementary level. So congratulations, and I'm proud of you and I'm impressed with your new position.
Thank you.
And now I've got a few words, and then we'll let Emily finally speak. Congratulations to Emily. She has absolutely earned this promotion. We're extremely excited to have her ascend to this leadership role. This is how healthy organizations should work. This is an internal candidate who has been here, who has grown, who has roots not only professionally, but personally. She lived in the John Muir neighborhood for 30 years of her X number of years on Earth. We're really just, we couldn't speak more highly of the way she handled the interview process. When we concluded the second one, the positive comments and the excitement coming from the staff members that we're going to get to work with Emily in a new role were just really, really strong. So congratulations, Emily. Could not be more excited to name you our next principal. And with that, now you get to speak.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I just want to take a quick moment and say thank you to everyone in Parma. I thank Tiffany for giving me the opportunity 6 years ago. As it's been said, I grew up in Parma, and I'm very excited to work, my educational career in Parma. I went to John Muir Elementary School before going to a Catholic school, so I'm excited to do my first, and hopefully I can stay there for a long time, principalship at John Muir Elementary. I'm looking forward to working with all of the amazing staff, students, and families, and really just kind of making a difference in a neighborhood that I grew up in. I feel very connected. Parma's my home, but even more so than Parma, the John Muir community is my home. I grew up 6 streets away and lived 4 streets away most recently. So I'm glad to be there. I'm excited and cannot wait to get to John Muir, meet everyone, and get to work and be an instructional leader, help everyone grow socially, emotionally, and academically. So I'm very excited. Thank you, guys.
Yay.
Congratulations.
Into the applaud. Emily, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
I know you'll do great things, and speaking for the board, and they can all speak for themselves, so anything we can do to help you along, please do not hesitate to ask at all.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I am kind of
Excellent.
excited to come visit you in your new office where we're not talking about how to get Guinevere out of bed in the morning.
I will miss the Carpus children, but I can still see you.
I was going to say, don't worry, they're around. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, with that, I'll just add one more congratulations since I'm at the Human Resources mic right now. I move for the adoption of Resolution 2021-03-132, approval of the following classified exhibits, confirmation of classified appointments, replacements, confirmation of change of classified assignments, approval of classified non-compensated leave of absence, approval of classified stipends, confirmation of classified resignations.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for Resolution 2021-03-132. Questions or comments? Mr. Nucio.
Mrs. Bratz,
Yes.
Mrs. Carpus,
Yes.
Mr. Kreis,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn,
Sorry, yes.
Mr. Schweitzer,
Yes, Resolution 2021-03-132 has been approved.
I move for the adoption of Resolution 2021-03-133, acceptance of classified retirements.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for 2021-03-133. Questions or comments? Mr. Nucio.
Mrs. Bratz,
Yes.
Mrs. Carpus,
Yes.
Mr. Kreis,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
Mr. Schweitzer.
Yes, Resolution 2021-03-133 has been approved.
Unless there is another board member that has anything to discuss, this concludes Human Resources for this evening.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Bratz. Policies, Mrs. Carpus, it seems like we have a lot of first readings here.
We do. No local language change really, other than, like who's assigned to what within the district. Everything else is Neola. You'll see that the first 3 are all non-discrimination of equal employment opportunities. Those just apply to the different groups like classified, certified, student, that kind of thing. So with that being said, first reading of revised policy 1422, non-discrimination of equal employment opportunity. First reading of revised policy 3122, non-discrimination and equal employment opportunity. First reading of revised policy 4122, non-discrimination and equal employment opportunity. First reading of revised policy 6144, investments. First reading of revised policy 6152, student fees, fines, and charges. First reading of revised policy 6220, tax budget preparation. First reading of revised policy 6325, procurement federal grants and funds. And first reading of revised policy 8450.01, protective facial coverings during pandemic epidemic. So those are all
first readings, and we will hopefully approve them all at the next meeting. And that concludes policies, unless anybody else has something.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Carpus. Is there any other information this evening requested by board members? Ron or Pam, are there any new questions or concerns to be read into the record?
No, there are not.
At this point, I move to adopt resolution 2021-03-135 to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for 2021-03-135. Any questions or comments? Mr. Nucio.
Mr. Schweitzer,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
Mrs. Bratz,
Yes.
Mrs. Carpus,
Yes.
Mr. Kreis.
Yes.
2021-03-135 has been approved. This meeting is adjourned.